Run the IRcameraConfigurator file that can set camera values. If you are using AvalData's frame grabber, select Auto Discovery and press the OK button. If using another frame grabber, click the COM item and select the COM port to use. The default baud rate is 115,200. The tab configuration is divided into command, image format, acquisition, camera, FFC, LUT, temperature, DIO, encoder, and band control. In command, you can manually enter the value you want to set. For example, exposure time can be changed in acquisition's exposure time, and it can also be changed with the exp or exposure time command. The default value is 10,000 microsecond, and let me change it to 12,000 microsecond using command tab. Enter exp 12,000 and press enter to return OK. You can see that it hasn't been set up correctly. You can check that it has been applied by looking at the exposure time in the Acquisition tab. In the Image Format tab, you can change resolution, pixel format, gain, clipping, reverse X, and test pattern. In particular, the tab configuration differs depending on the pixel format within the image format. Mono 8 must be used with 3 tabs. Mono 10 or 12 can be used with 2 tabs. If the settings of the frame grabber and the image format group of the camera are different, the image may be corrupted or not captured properly. So be sure to set it to the same as the frame grabber settings. In the Acquisition tab, you can set frame rate, exposure time, acquisition mode, and trigger related settings. In the Camera tab, you can see information about the camera, update firmware, and change user set. FFC stands for Flat Field Correction, and there are adjustment items for FFC. You can check how to adjust by pressing the question button. LUT stands for Lookup Table. You can select the LUT in mode and use saved data in format, or specify and use reverse binarization, gamma, and gamma custom. Temperature indicates the temperature of the camera. You can check the current temperature in the temperature group box by pressing the update button. Display sensor temperature, housing temperature, and FPGA temperature. Sensor temperature target is the target temperature of the cooling device built-in sensor. The default value is 15 degrees. To prevent condensation, when setting the target temperature, please use it within plus minus 20 degrees of the environment temperature. In the temperature alarm group box, you can set temperature alarms for sensors and cases. In the I/O, you can configure I/O settings. In the line group, you can configure how to use the connected lines. For example, let's assume that the line 0 is used as a TTL signal input and an image is acquired with this signal. In the selector, click line 0. For source, click exposure active. Select input as the mode and TTL as the format. Inverter, select non-inverted. Inverter refers to the rising falling signal. Non-inverted can be considered as rising and inverted as falling. Make settings for the noise filter. Assuming a noise-free environment, the values will not change. Line 0 setup is done. You can control the camera's output signal in the user output group box. You can set the output generation location in selector and can set negate and assert in value. Assert is in active high status and negate is in active low status. By executing the command, you can change all user output value at once. The value set in user output value all, the value set in user output value all mask, and the result of logic can be used as the value of user output value. Encoder. You can configure encoder related settings. Source A selects the source on A. You can select line 0, 1, or 2. Source B is to select the source on B. You can select line 0, 1, or 2. Modes can be selected as full pulse or high resolution. Full pulse executes counts up down when the signal status is changed to low phase A or low phase 2. In the case of high resolution, when an edge occurs in phase A or 2, it counts up down according to the signal level. The resolution of the encoder is for frequency multiplier resolution. Divider calculates the counter output with divider. The integer value rounded off of remainder is output as the next output mode data. In output mode, a trigger pulse is generated and output from the encoder output mode settings and divider calculation result. You can select the source of the encoder reset. The encoder can be reset by software commands and by hardware reset by an encoder reset trigger source or encoder reset activation. Regardless of hardware or software, it is reset to the value set in encoder value. You can select whatever you want from the reset source. You can select edge or level in reset activation. In status, you can get the current status of the encoder. From the counter, you can get the value before encoder reset. Frequency allows you to measure the frequency of the encoder. Band control. This is setting for a multispectral camera, and this is not usable function with SWIR camera. Please use ACAP Link 2 as a viewer to camera link camera.